following 4 Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Hey, what a day, what a day. It is me, Double K, right here on the Cheap Pop Podcast. And I'm here as always with the one and only Alpha. How you doing, my brother?
You know it. We're doing great today on a hot summer afternoon. I'm here with my other half. And last week, I sadly wasn't here to talk sweaty men. So now this week, we're going to be talking some comics and shit once again. We're going to be ripping straight into the DCU this time, the DCU.
Well, I held it down with that little bit of WrestleMania backlash, but you'll get your chance to put in your thoughts next week, man. On should I say later this week's episode? But all right, yeah, let's dig in. So we are going to be talking about the CWverse today, pretty much all things CWverse. And we are kicking off with what I consider basically to be the hottest comic book show on the market right now, short of Invincible, which we covered on the last comics episode. And that is Superman and Lois. For those of you who haven't watched, they're starting
Sidewinder hit.
Oh, yeah, it is. They're starting the second half of the season right now. They're 2 episodes into the second half. They did the first half, and then they cut it mid-season, and then they brought back Supergirl in the same time slot, and then they cut Supergirl at mid-season finale, and now they're finishing up with Superman and Lois. But this has been, we talked about this a little bit earlier, this has just been the story of Clark Kent. And people go, yeah, whatever, dude. Like, no, we've heard Superman's story. Dude came here from the other planet. Yeah. Okay, blew up and whatever.
Farm boy this, truck that.
Right. But the reality of it is this is the story of Clark Kent, not Clark Kent, the baby that came to the planet Earth and became Superman. But this is Clark Kent after he's become Superman. He's married Lois. They've had 2 kids, and he is super dad.
Exactly.
I'll kick this off with this right here. There's a moment in the most recent episode where, and I'm not going to give the big reveal. We'll get to the spoiler in a second, but they're looking at the Winnebago of the bad guy, of the foreigner, the Captain Luther, which great. Yeah. Anyway, but Captain Luther and Lois Lane goes on to the thing. And now they've already revealed that Captain Luther's wife on the other planet was Lois Lane. And they actually show you in a particular part of one of the episodes, one of the most recent episodes, when she gets killed by evil Superman on the other planet. And like literally her daughter and him were there to watch. And like, it was just like, whoa.
You're right.
Yeah. But needless to say, she goes on to the Winnebago, which is really his ship in disguise. The AI automatically recognizes Lois as an authorized user, so it doesn't do anything to her. Well, then Jonathan Kent goes in there, and let me just say this: the first thought that popped into my head when I saw this scene was, I got to get me one of these for the house, and I'm going to have to explain to you why.
I need one of these.
Right now. Check it out, okay? They're sitting there. All of a sudden, the Winnebago / ship locks up when Jonathan's in there because it scans him and it doesn't recognize him. Locks up, metal windows coming down everywhere. Fucking the thing releases a bunch of guns and says basically, if you don't identify yourself as somebody that's supposed to be here, we're about to kill you. Right? Jonathan's now knocking on the door like, Mom, get me out of here. Get me out of here. Like, help. This thing's gonna kill me. Lois is now sitting outside banging on the door, telling the thing like, hey, that's my son. I'm Lois Lane. Like, shut down. Stop. Finally, it gets down to where the thing's like 10, 9. Lois reaches in her pocket, pulls out this little device, clicks it, and goes, Clark. Superman, who's like hundreds of miles away at a military base, goes, huh? And is gone.
Sonic fucking boom. Sonic fucking boom.
Gets there in a matter of 3 seconds, rips the door off of the Winnebago, and manages to get in there in enough time to cover Jonathan up so Jonathan doesn't get killed. But it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, I got to get me one of those. Like that's kind of badass. Like you just got this device that you just click and it sets off this ultrasonic frequency that only Superman can hear, and he comes directly to you. I gotta get me one of those.
It's your Clark Kent dog whistle. Fucking hell.
But it made for an amazing story. The story of it's Jonathan and I want to say Jason is the brother. Kent.
You got it.
And they didn't go with both of them having powers. They went what I call with the 50-50 thing. I've seen it done in comic books before. I don't think that's really the name for it. But if you always notice, if both twins if both twins have superpowers, that's kind of against the odds. The odds are more likely that one's gonna have powers and one's not. Yeah. And so that's what we have. Even though there's rumors now that some people think, like our friend of the show, Mr. Hemphill, think that Jonathan or Jason actually gets his powers from the X-Kryptonite below Smallville. So they've introduced this interesting new character, Morgan Edge, who's kind of like the villain dude. Yeah. This badass chick with like some Kryptonian type powers, like she can shoot lasers out her eyes and shit. So it's definitely has some interesting characters and some interesting takes on life, because like I said, you get to see a more, and this is weird to say, you get to see a more human side of Superman. Yeah, but that's the truth. So why don't you take away for a second your thoughts on Superman and Lois so far, and then we'll get to the big twist that they recently just dropped this last week. Yeah. So I'm going to be very honest with you. One of my most unpopular opinions as a comic reader, as a paperback reader, is that I don't read a lot of Superman. And what Superman I have read, I'm not a huge mark about it. But you know what I do love? I fucking loved Smallville growing up. Yeah. And when Rebirth hit, my favorite Superman story was the one where after Superman came back, he had to live with now Lois Lane back and alive again, and now Jonathan Kent, his super-powered son. Yeah. And that, for me, is my personal favorite Superman arc of all time. The arc that Rebirth presents with Jonathan Kent, for me, is as good as Superman gets. I say it a million times. Superman isn't meant to be relatable. So when you approach the unrelatable with a story in which he's forced to be relatable and and not dehumanized, but be humanized, I find it much more interesting. The relationship between Lois and Superman is something that I feel has been like slowly dropped over the years in terms of importance, obviously, because the damsel in distress gimmick isn't as big as it was back in the day, understandably so. But the importance of Lois Lane's position as a character who doesn't inevitably gain superpowers, in my opinion, is incredibly fucking crucial. Mm-hmm. That is pretty much the biggest plot of the biggest point they could run this off of going forward, and they've done a great job of using it. You know, we've seen all these different stories about Superman growing up. How many times have we seen that story? Millions of fucking times. Oh, right? God, millions ain't even. If I'm not if this isn't the first, then this is the best version of older Superman so far. Mm-hmm. And if this is the gateway to open up to the pantheon of badass old Supermen, I'm so into this, because then we can get Superman 3000. We can get all types of crazy shit if this is able to open the forbidden door, right? Yeah, to go there. But in all things considered, a lot of people didn't like this starting up because we have Henry Cavill Superman. Shut up, it's a multiverse. Shut up. Yeah, shut up. There's more to one universe. Get over it. It's multiverse. Shut up. And like always, they've done a great job of utilizing that effect in this story here. Like I said, for me, it was a sidewinder hit. I didn't expect Superman and Lois to be
one of the stronger emotional builds of the CWverse, and I'm so fucking happy with it. And the focus on Jonathan Kent has been amazing so far.
Amen. Amen. As basically him and Mom being the only two normal people there. Yeah. It's been awesome. Now, okay, so as we wrap up Superman and Lois, we have to get to the big reveal that happened this past week. All season, they've been calling him Captain Luthor. They've been calling him Captain Luthor, and they've been making you think that this was a black member of the Luthor family from Earth, whatever. Whatever Earth he was on before it was destroyed in Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is what brought him to our Earth Prime anyway. The reveal turned out to be that Captain Luthor was actually the one and only John Henry Irons, aka Steel.
Motherfucking Steel. Shaquille O'Neal, baby.
Now, from what I remember, this is not Steele's original storyline. At least I don't believe so.
It's not.
But I'm not gonna lie, it's an amazing storyline, especially as they slowly rolled everything out to you. You know, because they gave you this idea that he was a Luthor from another Earth, and he's coming to talk about Superman turning on the planet and killing everybody and all that. And then it builds to finding out that he's John Henry Irons, and then we actually got to see the fucking hammer. Like
you got
it
to
was
see the
like,
steel hammer. Oh my god, man. Oh my god, I'm so fucking into this, dude. I've seen like I was 100% expecting just a Bizarro arc, as always, but to bring in somebody who is always known as a friend of Superman and to boil his motive down to the most simple of, it's not just that I like Superman, I am obsessed with Superman. Now we have one of the most authentic heel turns in CW history.
Oh yeah. And let me tell you this, man. By the end of this last episode, Mr. Irons was now a friend as opposed to foe, which is what I like, which makes me believe that somewhere before the end of this season, he's going to make a return as actually as Steel. And I'm here for that. I'm all here for that.
We're doing it backwards this time, and I'm into that.
So, well, the season still has a few episodes left in it. The story's still building. Like I said, I believe Morgan Edge is your main villain. So we'll see, and we'll come back and recap that after the season is over. But we're gonna jump on over to the fastest man on the planet, and the one and only Flash.
Golden Goose, baby. Golden Goose of the CW.
Or what is it? Or is it Flash? That's still, I'm sorry, dude. That's best still moment. The best episode.
Best
yes.
I've been waiting for this.
That was just great. And Cisco, of all people, just made it happen, which makes me sad because the next episode of Flash that airs is supposed to be Cisco's goodbye episode, and I've already got my Kleenex sitting by the bed ready. Not for what you nasty ass people think it's for. It's so when I start crying, I have something to be able to wipe up the tears with, because Cisco's been one of my favorite characters. I'll say one of my favorite characters in the CWverse altogether. Vibe, man, like I was really vibing him, no pun intended.
Right.
But this season has kind of been a hodgepodge. I'm not going to sit here and say this has been the best season of Flash ever, because it really hasn't. Yeah. And part of the reason for that is because and it was finally confirmed for me recently when I was reading through some comic books or some comic book fan page like articles. Basically, the first 3 episodes of this season, 3 or 4 episodes of this season, were basically what should have been the last 3 episodes of the previous season, but they did end up not being able to shoot them because of COVID, because they got shut down because of COVID. So you kind of had the wrap up to last season at the beginning of the season, and so you're just kind of really picking up the story. And I will point out this. It was once again the thing that I read in another article. I don't have as big of an issue with it. I was just telling my friend Suave this the other day. I don't really have as much of an issue with inaccuracies, especially in comic book shows or just like sitcoms. I don't really have that big of an issue with inaccuracies because you're supposed to get lost in the unrealism of what you're watching. It's not supposed to feel real.
Right.
And this was another one of those things where it's like it just, I don't know, like it just seems like it just took a little too long to build to where this particular season, and what we're getting just isn't Flash quality. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that they're basically starting the episode almost 4 seasons. They're starting the beginning of the episode almost 4 episodes into the season is where the actual episode is starting.
Right.
But I enjoyed the fact that they gave Tom Cavanaugh a good like send off. For those of you guys who didn't watch the beginning first couple episodes, basically Tom Cavanaugh's send off was that they consolidated all of the wells into one dude. And because they can to try to create the Speed Force, because they consolidated them all into one dude, he now has the power to travel anywhere in time with the snap of his finger.
God. and remember, kids, the Speed Force is layman terms for the OP effect.
It's just, it's great. So I think that they finally gave Tom Cavanaugh the man's been there since episode 1. He's been there for all of the big crossovers. Yeah. He's literally played 7 different characters throughout the series
and
so far.
Fucking killed it the whole way fucking through.
Exactly. So that was at the beginning of the season. And I agree with a dude's point, and this is where I'll get with this. Earlier in this season, they did a whole story arc where Killer Frost goes to jail.
Yeah.
And basically they get to court. Basically, looks like she's about to be found guilty, and the DA wants to force her to take the cure. Her counter offer to forcing her to take the cure, for those of you who don't know what the cure is, in an earlier season, they developed a cure to the metahuman gene that would allow people to choose whether or not they wanted to be a metahuman once they found out they had the gene, but they agreed that they would never force it on anybody. That was the deal that Cisco and Caitlin made with each other. And that's another thing, guys, just so you know, Caitlin and Killer Frost are now 2 completely different people. I forget what happened, but
they're 2 different people.
Yeah, but they're 2 different people. So Killer Frost is on trial, and then her counter to them forcing her to take the cure, which they thought for a second would effectively kill her because she is her powers.
She is in the embodiment of her powers, essentially, within Caitlin.
She countered and said, "I'll go to jail for life." And so the judge accepts the offer, the DA accepts the offer, because basically what it was is that she felt like she was going to set a standard that if she allowed them to force the cure on her, then they were going to start doing that to every meta. And so she didn't want to set that precedent, so she took the life in jail. Well, here's where the writing could have been a little bit better. I think she was in jail for like 3 episodes.
Yeah, it's one of those. If we had given this moment time to really simmer and marinate, would have had a much bigger effect. Right.
And here's the bigger issue with it. The reason why she gets out of jail is this: they have this whole event where the Speed Force is, I'll get into that in a little bit. Speed Force is trying to kill people, and she ends up like lightning striking the prison where Killer Frost is at, and a bunch of prisoners get out. Like a bunch of the really bad prisoners get out. Well, Killer Frost breaks out, not to break out and get out, but to break out and help the police bring back into custody all the bad guys that got out. Because she did that, the DA dropped the charges between her and she immediately got released. Well, that makes no goddamn sense. Killer Frost, the crimes that she was being charged with from hella days ago.
She's literally a fucking terrorist by this point. Like,
right. Well, no, hold on. Like, hold on. Let me complete the point real quick. Hold on. So she's being charged with crimes from hella days ago, right? But from hella days ago. Since hella days ago, she's been doing hell of good, has literally helped save the world like 4 times. And during the trial, when she's defending herself and saying this, the DA's like, none of that shit matters. We don't give a shit about all that. We care about the crimes that you did before. But then she breaks out of jail to help them bring some people back in. And DA's like, oh, you did some good shit. Let me let you out.
Now I see your actions. Change of heart that fast?
Yeah, exactly. But it is nice to have Killer Frost back out. She's basically on probation. She has to be watched. But she's out, and it's nice to have her back with Team Flash. Yeah. For those of you who don't know as well, so this season, this season kicked off with the discovery that after, of course, a experiment gone wrong at Star Labs.
How many times are you going to hear that over the next 7 seasons?
We find we get the introduction of the Strength Force.
Oh boy.
Oh God, it's the Strength Force, the Speed Force. There's a dude named Psych. I forget which force he is, but there's 4 forces now. One represents time, and it's this dude named Dion who can literally freeze time. Like he can freeze a person in a particular spot in time as long as he wants.
I think about it like there's a lot of people who have different time-based powers. Quicksilver can make things and distort things around him. The Flash can, shit all over time as it exists, essentially. But Dion has the powers of Adam Sandler's Click.
Yes, basically.
He can individualize the time that he's distorting down to the person or the object. Much like Click. And that's how I think about it.
Okay, it's Steel Force. It's the Steel Force, the Speed Force. Steel Force is whatchamacallit. And then I guess it's the Steel Search, the Sage Force, and the Speed Force. And and the Strength Force, like they just all kicking each other's asses. And it turns out to be hella cool. And like I said, they created this new guy named Psych who had like the ability to be able to make people see their like darkest nightmares, and just like it was a great thing. It was just felt rushed, and it's because they only have a limited amount of episodes to work with for the season, and they used 4 of them up, finishing up telling last season's story. So I'm not mad at that, but no, I said I'm not mad at that, but it makes the season feel very rushed.
Yeah, as a pun intended, it does suck to see that the flagship show had to halt its own momentum a little bit. Mm-hmm. But all things considered, I would rather that kind of lapse in pace rather than leaving plot holes and loose ends. Because at very least, we can rely that the CW isn't going to leave an endless amount of fucking plot holes and loose ends unless they're there for a fucking reason. Right. And so happily, I'd like to see them tie it up at least like that. But you are right; it has hindered the momentum of the show going forward, because now they kind of have to cram shit in the next few episodes.
So, all right, so let's wrap it up there. Flash has been good so far this season. We'll wrap it up completely when the season ends. Real quick before we go to break, there's been rumors that basically the first 5 episodes of season 8 for the Flash, which has me believing that Flash is coming to an end soon. But they said the first 5 episodes of season Flash might very well end up being all crossover episodes. Cress Williams has said that the team over at the Flash has contacted him about reprising the role of Black Lightning, whose series just ended after 4 seasons of reprising Black Lightning to come back for an episode of Flash. Same thing with Melissa Benoist has said they've reached out to her to come back for a Supergirl episode with the Flash. So it's looking like Flash is going to get interesting. But my question would be, do you think that this is a signal that this very well might end up being Flash's final season?
Sadly, when you look at the way that CW structures things, they're amazing at send-offs and goodbyes. They're fucking great at it. I hate that they are, but they're great at it. And the sad thing is now when you look at the way that they've structured their other big endings, to things like this, the writing is just a little bit on the wall, especially over the last year or so of development. It's very public what the pandemic has done to the whole CW's lineup, to to their recording schedule, to their ring, to basically the whole thing. It's just been a mass shock to everything like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if the writing was on the wall. Sad as it may be, you can say that they didn't have one of the best runs in the history, in opinion. And I don't get it's an overzealous statement for me to say that the Flash, in my honest opinion, at least top 10 of the last 15 years of constant television.
Oh yeah. As far as television shows, it's easily top 2, top 3, easy. Yeah. The whole series as a whole,
easily.
But all right, we'll take a commercial break or podcast promo break, whatever you want to call it, and we will come back and we're going to talk some Supergirl. We're going to talk a little DC's Legends, and we're going to talk about the series ending that I loved and loved to watch in Black Lightning, which said goodbye to the CW about 2 weeks ago. So I actually waited like 4 days to watch the series finale because I just didn't want it to end. I wasn't
ready. I don't blame you.
But I will say this: the series finale left the door open for a lot of things. So, and we'll talk about that after the break. But right now, you're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast. Before we get into these podcast promo breaks, I want to let you know that as you're hearing this, it is Friday night as you're hearing this, and on Sunday night, not only will you be getting an episode of Cheap Pop Podcast, but if you tune on to Twitch, you will be seeing the Ear to the Street, not competition, but Ear to the Street, competition being put on by the Saint and the crew over there at the Saint and the crew over there at Now versus Then. I don't know why that name wasn't coming to me. Yeah.
It's all good.
Let's see, groups. Let's search. I gotta find it so I can tell you guys specifically. Basically, it's gonna be producers going head to head and playing their beats, and there's gonna be 3 judges that are gonna be judging them, and one will advance and one will not. This is straight from the Saint. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to announce that Ear to the Street is now in pre-production. It's going to be a Twitch show. It'll air on June 6th. They're looking at 8 p.m. The first 2 shows will be a battle of the beats between 2 generations. The competitors have already been chosen. The first 2 will be announced over the next few days. And the first 2 competitors turned out to be, the first 2 judges that he announced was Miss Toy and MC Shan. And the third judge is comedian Mario Hodge.
Ooh.
So this is going to be pretty good. And Cheryl Cooley of Climax is going to be one of the judges as well. So this is basically a competition where cats are allowed to submit their beats, and their beats get judged by industry professionals. And they can either advance, and who knows where it might take you. You might get discovered on the Ear to the Street. So tune in. That's going to be on the 4 Aces Presents Twitch channel. That's going to be on Sunday at 8. So yeah.
There's
and as for now,
4 Aces, baby.
There you go. And as for that, as for anything else, we'll catch y'all after the break. Peace.
Peace.
You're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the 4 Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you may find your favorite podcasts.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
Game ticket, $50. Hot dog, $8. Team store item, $25.
I told him I can beat him with one hand tied behind my back, with some glasses on, with one eye lens out, with some flip-flops on in the rain.
Haven't you listened to someone's dumb sports opinions? Worthless. Some people shouldn't talk sports. For everyone else, there's the Unspoken Podcast, available on most podcasting platforms, and on the web at theunsporkensportspodcast.weebly.com.
And we're back, y'all. Hey, how y'all doing? It is me, Double KK Double again, and on the other side, you'll see over there is my brother from another mother, the one and only Alpha.
The pale hatted version.
So all right, so we said we were going to talk some Supergirl. Supergirl's kind of been like, Supergirl hasn't had much Supergirl.
Yeah.
The two biggest things that kind of came out of this half season of Supergirl so far is that Supergirl got lost in the Phantom Zone thanks to Lex Luthor, John Cryer.
Oh my fucking god.
She gets lost in the Phantom Zone, but she finds her dad. And I guess he's been lost in the Phantom Zone since Krypton exploded. She finds her dad. She also finds Mixapilic is his name?
Mr. Mixopidalic. Yep. You got it. You got it first try, Nick. Good shit.
They find his sister, and her name is Mixie. Okay. And so and the last scene that we see before the mid-season or when the mid-season finale went off is her riding the ship back to Metropolis. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Yeah. But for me, the most interesting thing that I've seen out of this entire season was getting to see a very, very young Cat Grant.
Yeah.
They did 2 episodes where they jumped back to the 90s and they brought back the character that was originally killed because I guess evidently during the whole Crisis on Infinite Earths thing, they it flipped it. So the kid that died, that was the whole murder that really set off her figuring out about her powers from like season 2 of Supergirl, that kid didn't die. In this particular timeline that they're in now. So he's actually Kara's boyfriend. And they like super together. Like he goes out and
that's so fucking cool.
Yeah, like it's just hella cool. So
literally Adam even Invincible want to go save the world with me, Mark. Yeah.
Pretty much. And so like it made for some really good episodes. But seeing that young Cat Grant out there working for Perry, like it shows the exact moment when Cat Grant quits the Daily Planet and decides to start her own media empire, and changes her name to Cat. It was just that was my favorite part of this particular half season. We'll see what they have more to come. There was a lot of interesting things involved in the season, including phantoms. Like I was unaware of the fact that phantoms had the ability to like infect other people and turn them into phantoms. Like that was lost. That was something brand new to me.
Utilize the fucking Phantom Zone is my thing, man. Like modern Marvel and DC do not utilize the negative zone and the Phantom Zone as much as they fucking should. And so I'm always open to see the usage of that. But I know at this point, Supergirl has definitely had one of the more rockier pieces of development. But Supergirl has always been so good at strongly building characters. I don't think I could have expected from the beginning that I was going to be so fucking invested in Supergirl and actively want to see more Supergirl. You're right, you know? Like I spent a lot of the time like genuinely wanting to see more Supergirl. And they do a great job of exploring all the other characters in the show, especially that of Lex fucking Luthor, one of the best versions of Lex fucking Luthor.
And I'll say it with this being the final season of Supergirl, because Melissa Benoist wants to move on to other things. I will say my favorite scene in all of Supergirl, now there's a lot of good ones, is John Cryer as Lex Luthor singing My Way while he's destroying all the fucking airplanes and everything. And he's belting this tune out, one of my favorite Sinatra tunes, by the way. But just he's belting this tune out at the top of his lungs and just flying around, shooting down planes. And it's just classic. It's Lex Luthor.
It's peak Lex Luthor. It's peak, I have no reason to believe I'm better than you, but I am. And I'm bald. It's great.
Hey, fucking man. They've really done a good job of developing Lena Luthor as a character. I definitely thought they did that very well.
The whole Luthor family in Supergirl has been developed extremely fucking well, in my opinion.
Amen to that. Amen. All right, so I'll move us along real quick because, we're kind of limited on time. DC's Legends of Tomorrow. This has been one of the more interesting seasons.
Yeah.
Because this season opened with Sarah Lance being kidnapped, or actually last season closed with Sarah Lance being kidnapped. And
opened with the finish on that.
Okay. I can say this one thing. They've only been like 3 or 4 episodes so far this season. Go. But the thing that got me, the thing that was kind of anticlimactic for me was there's these alien race that kidnapped Sarah, and come to find out that the alien is Gary.
Yeah.
The dude who like had his heart ripped out by a unicorn, or had his nipple bit off by a unicorn. The dude that's like been the comic relief, was Constantine's bitch for like 3 or 4 episodes. Turns out to be this alien from another planet that was in love with Sarah Lance. And so they stole her. And I'm just like, huh?
What type of shit?
But then what ends up happening whenever my brain goes, huh, when watching DC's Legends of Tomorrow, is that my brain automatically jumps back to this show is built under the guise of jumping the shark. This show is built to be over the top. So once I remind myself of that, it puts everything back into perspective. But leave it to Captain Steel. I think I mentioned this on a previous episode, but leave it to Captain Steel to have my favorite line of this season so far, with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as president. Oh, please tell me John Cena is his chief of staff. It was just, he's had some in all the seasons.
Oh man,
the guy who plays
best fucking lines, dude.
He's if you guys ever want to watch a funny ass episode and kind of he's the center of it, so to speak, go back and watch the season finale for last season, when he is literally kicking people's ass while dancing to the thong song from Cisco. And the thing that just made it so awesome is it was actually Cisco on the show, like doing the song and dancing and shit. And it was just, go back and watch that if you want to watch it. It was a great scene, but it just really shows you what the guy who plays, I can't think of the name of the actor, but what the guy who plays Captain Steel is just, he's such a consistent character. And then I'll end my part and let you take over here by saying Constantine needs to be given his own series, or he needs to be made a bigger part of this series.
Oh man, it's ironic that you say this. Look, you've opened the box, bro, because look, there is a lot of Constantine love in this house. There is a lot of Constantine love in this house. I'm probably one of the few people that sucks the dick of the Keanu Reeves version and do it again with the mid-2000s blonde version, because Constantine is so fucking raw, and this version of Constantine only makes me want it more. It kills me. They gotta cash in on that. DC has one thing going for it, okay? It takes itself way too fucking seriously sometimes, and sometimes it's best to cash in on that with a fucking character like Constantine. I need it, inject it, give it.
And the crossovers galore would just be amazing. And like I said, I give all homage to Keanu Reeves as Constantine. I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel of that particular verse, but tell me that that's another universe. Tell me that's a Constantine on a different Earth, and I'm good with that. Because
that's an elsewhere, because this is the Constantine that I need.
Yes, Matt Ryan Go, boy, go.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the development and unfortunately the loss, because I heard he walked off set of Dominic Purcell as Mick Rory. But a lot of people forget he started out on The Flash playing Heatwave.
I was gonna say that was Heatwave.
Him and Wentworth Miller. And for those of you who go back further, those two were brothers on what show? Prison Break. That's right, guys.
On Prison Break.
My
fucking God. I completely forgot about that fucking shit, dude. Holy hell.
4 seasons of awesomeness
that I forgot about. Holy shit. I forgot about Prison Break's existence. What the fuck?
Was one of the best series on television for a long time, or for at least 2 years. And in the last 2 years, it kind of lost. You can only take the story of them breaking out of the prison and being on the run so far before it has to come to some kind of inevitable conclusion, one way or another. Either they get away or they get caught. But there's an inevitable conclusion. The chase can't just be endless, and that's where the problem lied with Prison Break seasons 3 and 4, etc. Is they tried to keep the chase going, and it was just but the show itself was great for a couple of seasons. Like I said, one of the best shows on television. But getting back to Wentworth Miller and Dominic Purcell supposedly walked off set and is not coming back. So if there is a next season of DC's Legends, there will be no Heatwave. There will be no Mick Rory. And that makes me sad.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it is what it is, though. You know, if they're unpleased with it, not going to be the fan that's like, oh, fuck you for that. No, but I'm always going to implore a freedom of choice of work, even if it's like, damn, you were so fucking good though, man.
Well, and the thing with DC's Legends, and the thing I like about the show is the show could literally go on forever, because there is literally an unlimited cast of secondary and B characters that they can throw in there and pull out all they want. So that show could go on. It doesn't. Sarah Lance, the actress who plays Sarah Lance, said this is her last season with the show. So next season's going to be completely different, because we're going to have no Sarah Lance, we're going to have no Mick Rory. You know
what happens when the whole Suicide Squad is wiped out? Fuck it, make another.
And don't worry, don't get me started on the Suicide Squad movie. I'm there for that, bro. I'm there for that. And I'm really John Cena. You might just win me over for you as an actor.
Fucking God! Do me a favor. Do me a favor, and look up the superhero who he's playing. Okay. Go look up that superhero, and then go read into that superhero's backstory. And now that you read the character's backstory, and you envision it being played by John Cena, your hype for this project is going to go to the fucking moon. I'm serious, dude.
For sure. I'll do that research. All right, so let's get into this last. After 4 seasons, a show that I thought was extremely good is being canceled by CW, and that is Black Lightning. I personally think that CW is clearing the house for a lot of these shows to turn up on HBO Max.
Yeah.
I just have this weird suspicion. But Cress Williams was the perfect actor to embody Black Lightning. Kind of like physically Mike Coulter physically was the embodiment of Luke Cage, kind of in a similar way.
Right on the head.
For me,
it's when you bring it down to the simples of voice, look, physicality, and tone that is set. You're right.
Yep. And okay, so I'm gonna jump real quick because we don't like I said, we don't have much time, but
it's okay.
They had one of the best opening and closing like lines for me out of any series. Like I understand, like, my name is Oliver Queen, like that's an iconic open. Like, hi, I'm Barry Allen, the fastest man alive. That's an iconic open.
It is.
The first episode of Black Lightning, the very, very first episode, they do the scene where he gets pulled over and he has his daughters in the car with him and the cops are fucking with him.
Yeah.
And he has to kind of restrain his powers. And the ending to that scene, you hear the one who plays Anissa, the older daughter, you hear her voiceover and she goes, on that night with lightning and thunder as witness, Black Lightning was reborn, right? Now, mind you, at that point in watching the show, the very first episode, I had no clue that Anissa and whatchamacallit were lightning and thunder. But I thought like she was talking because it was raining, and I was just like, and then my boy hit me. He was like, "No,
you get it."
And yeah, now
it was them witnessing the birth of Black Lightning before they were even that. Yeah, awesome.
Now I jumped to the end. Now, if you haven't seen the series finale, this is a spoiler alert. Unfortunately, they do kill off the villain of all villains, my favorite self-hating black dude. No, Tobias Well, albino black dude. Tobias Well. They gave him just like, and what's funny is it's not a new line. It wasn't an original line, but it was just perfect for him. And not to mention the fact Marvin Crondon played that role to a fucking teeth. They couldn't have gotten anybody better to play it.
A fucking plus casting.
That being said, Black Lightning grabs him, runs him to a window, and chucks him out the window, and he lands on like this steeple of like a building with the steeple coming out the top of his thing. He grabs into his waist, grabs his gun, and starts shooting at Black Lightning. He goes, "From hell's heart, I stab at thee." And he dies. And I'm like, beautiful. So well done. So well done. Just like everything else. The series finale saw Lala finally get released from the cement, which I thought was one of the most creative ways to kill an immortal ever. Like it truly was.
Yeah.
Lock that motherfucker in cement and he can come back alive all he want, but he still can't go nowhere or do nothing.
Shit. Yes.
But Lala comes back to life only to look out the window and see that Tobias Well is dead. And they kind of leave things open with the family just kind of kicking it and celebrating the fact that this is all, you know, that all the shit that's going on in Freeland is kind of over. Yeah. But it kind of left things open because at the end of the series, they finally, for the last 2 episodes up to the series finale, they didn't have their powers. Tobias Well had found this device that allowed him to broadcast this girl who had were canceling powers. You've seen Heroes?
Yeah.
Remember the Haitian?
Yep. Okay.
His powers, nullifying
my powers are to say fuck you to your powers. Right.
So and he took her powers and amplified it. So it basically shut off all Meta's powers in all of Freeland. Well, by the end of the series finale, of course, they find the device. Gambi destroys it. Gambi's my favorite. Like, what are they? Like the dude that sits on the comms and helps the hero out, like that dude. Overwatch.
I always call them the Oracle of the team because Batman always has the Oracle. So whenever I'm reading a Punisher comic and he's like Micro, I'm like, that's the Oracle. Whenever I'm playing Metal Gear Solid, Otacon is my Oracle.
Yeah. And so like Gambi is the best Oracle ever as far as I'm concerned. He always had new shit. And whenever somebody came at Black Lightning and the fam with something that they couldn't handle, Gambi's like, I know some shit that can fuck with that. Hold on real quick. Let me do some research right quick. I'll get back at you in like a couple of days. And then Gambi come back with some super like thing.
2 to 3 days later, you can't ask calling the new tech motherfucker. Like
pretty much. But I love that because that was just Gambi's role in it. Gambi was the problem solver. But the series as a whole was very impressive to me. I was kind of sad that we only got 13 episodes out of the final season. I was kind of hoping for more like 15, 16, but it is what it is. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that the show potentially gets picked up by HBO Max. But what were your thoughts on Black Lightning?
Yeah. As a whole for me, it is one of the shows that I feel like is probably the most consistent throughout. I'm not going to sit here and say it is hands down the best written, the best this and the best that, but it sticks to a niche style of storytelling, and it does it very fucking well. It is methodical, it is piece by piece, and it is so good. The walk up of Black Lightning is very fucking organic. I like the way it all came about, and the way that they went about the Black Lightning story in relation to the source material was fucking beautiful. Casting, A1. Scripting, holy shit.
My favorite line.
Yep.
All these niggas want to go to heaven. Don't none of them want to die to get there. One of the coldest lines I've ever heard out of any villain ever.
Scripting. It's all about the script, and they fucking knocked it out of the park, home fucking run, and they brought it back. And in amazing fashion, it finishes off in the same exact way. You know, it's important that the death of a villain scales with how gruesome and fucked up that they are. And this was amazing. You know, in my opinion, it was shades of the end of Tarzan, watching the motherfucker fall and get hung by the gallows of the jungle, right? To me, it was on that same level of watching the evil motherfucker finally get it without it being contrived or forced or, in the worst, predictable.
And they gave you every reason to hate Tobias Well this season.
Every
fucking reason. He took dude's house. He fucked with their family. Like he gave you every reason to hate Tobias Well. So it made it that much more satisfying when he went out that window and onto that post.
You know that picture of fucking Michael Jordan where the caption just says "fuck them kids"? That's Tobias Well.
Yeah, pretty much. Fuck them kids. All right, so in the middle of this season, one of the episodes was what's called a backdoor pilot, which is when you air a pilot in the middle of a season of another show or under another banner. And they aired an episode called Painkiller. And it presented this world where, for any of you guys who don't know, Painkiller was a character that was created in the first season. The name of the character was Khalil. I forget what his last name was, but he was tricked into working for Tobias Well. And because he failed to do something for Tobias, Tobias Wells shot him, almost killed him, and then came and offered him a way to get to being able to walk again. They implanted a mechanical spine in him. At which point later on in the season, Tobias Well rips out, which is one of the most gruesome scenes in the series. But he comes back as this beast, this guy that's been trained to kill the Pierces. And because of his love for Jennifer, was her name, the youngest daughter, because of his love for Jennifer, it spawns this cracked personality where there's Khalil and then there's Painkiller. And they call him Painkiller because the stuff with the mechanical spine fused or created like this poison in his blood that he can just touch somebody. And like I said in the previous episode, at this point in time, he's now learned how to control exactly how much venom he puts out. So he puts out enough that he doesn't kill you, or he puts out enough that he just wipes you off the face.
Blackouts your ass, flatline.
Right. But I love the dynamic between Khalil and Painkiller because it was shown literally from an outside and an inside point of view. You had these scenes inside this 100%. Mental dojo with Khalil and Painkiller fighting, and some great one-liners going back and forth between them.
Oh my fucking God, yes.
And then you had my favorite scene with Khalil towards the end where he gets pulled over by the assassin. I think I went over this a couple of weeks ago, but he gets pulled over by the assassin. And the assassin's like, yeah, I'm here to kill both of y'all. And Khalil's the one in control of the body at the time. He steps out the van, looks over, takes off the jacket and goes, I ain't got no time to deal with this shit. Kill him. And then all of a sudden he turns around and now he's using his Painkiller voice. He's like, oh yeah. And he does. And he ends up killing the assassin. But it's just moments like that where it's just like, Khalil's like, I could beat this dude, but I ain't got time for it. Just fucking kill him.
You take the wheel.
But it's a great thing. It reminded me of a visual mental of what goes on in Split.
Yes, absolutely.
With the light, you know what I'm saying? And with the dojo scene, it gives me a visual of the light,
the mind space.
Right.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I was saddened to find out and hear that unfortunately it was announced after the series finale aired for Black Lightning that Painkiller will not be airing
Getting
on
the
the
spin-off.
CW. They will not be moving forward with it. But once again, I also heard that they are pitching Painkiller as well to HBO Max to see about potentially getting themselves picked up there. So
Yeah.
your thoughts on the
Yeah.
potential Painkiller series, and
Yeah.
where'd you like to see it go?
Yeah. As our final note, yeah, I'm really disappointed to see that they wouldn't be cashing in on that immediately, but that gives it time to brew a little bit and see where it goes. So I'm happy to see that. But if it's something that is dropped permanently, I'm going to be really disappointed, because out of the entire show, yes, the whole show was written impeccably well, don't get me wrong, and every character had a lot of amazing things about them. Painkiller and Khalil probably had the most focus from the fans by the end of it still. And in terms of fan support, as somebody who spends a lot of time keeping up with the CW actively and also looks at it from the outside inward, there's a lot of hype for Painkiller. There was a lot of hype for Painkiller. An absurd amount of fucking hype for Painkiller, especially coming on the last 3-4 months or so, and rightfully fucking so. If they're smart, they'll cash the fuck in on that. But if that's the end of it, then I am disappointed, because that was probably one of definitely their most deeper characters, as you've explained. Definitely one of the more deeper of their characters. The whole dichotomy of my moniker versus my persons is we've seen it in the CW already with people like Killer Frost, right? But when you break it down like this, it has so much more potential. And God, I wish for them to cash in on it, but if they don't, that's such a big disappointment.
Very true. Very, very true. All right, so we're going to close this out with quick hit thoughts on the big announcement this past week that the man, the Ip Man himself, Donnie Yen, has been brought in to play John Wick's friend in the fourth installment of the John Wick series. Your thoughts, brother?
Oh my God. Lightning round. I fucking love the John Wick movies. They are probably some of the most consistent action movies to date. Almost purely on part of Keanu Reeves' intense acting schedule and his importance to keep up with the role. I don't know if you've seen it, but the motherfucker makes it a routine to train as hard as he possibly can for the John Wick role, so much so that he goes up against actual dummies in a shooting range to keep up with it and the action and the role. It's fucking insane. And so when they said that, I immediately just see, oh my God, are they going to put him through the same shit? Are we going to see that same shit? Are we going to see him in a cool suit too? Like, I want it, man. I'm so into it.
Donnie Yen.
Oh my God, the
Donnie
possibilities.
Yen.
We've already seen
man.
so many enter the Wickverse.
Yes.
The Wickverse.
And give it bravo to Keanu Reeves for establishing yet another series with his name all over it. You go, boy. You go, boy. Tearing up Hollywood by storm. John Wick style, so to speak. But all right, man. So why don't you go ahead and close us out this week? Let them know what we're gonna be talking about next episode, all that there.
Well, we're going to be coming at you as we always do with some more big sweaty men, but more importantly, we're going to be breaking it down to the AE dub side of things. We're going to be talking Double or Nothing. We're going to be topping the recent releases of Black, whatever you want to call it, as the Black Wednesday, Black Thursday. As we go along here and these more releases come along, we'll review those alongside AE dub. Give me some last words before I roll my final words.
All right, y'all. So you heard the man. Stay up. Think about big sweaty men, and be sure to enjoy I hope you enjoy your weekend this weekend, because I know I will. And
yes, sir.
Take us home, brother.
All right. And I'll finish you off as I always do, my people, my friends, my family. I'm going to leave you off with one of my favorite quotes. It may have been animated, but it's still Black Lightning material. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me finish you off with my favorite Black Lightning quote. You may have had lightning, but you haven't had Black Lightning, baby. Peace.